Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and it's your girl NiaOlivia, and I'm so glad that you have tuned in. Okay, let's hop right into it. So today's topic is all about my 5 craziest experiences while working at a restaurant. So to give you just a little bit of a background, I worked at a restaurant for probably like 6 years in total, I think. But I worked at several different ones, and I started working at a restaurant in high school. That was my first one. I worked at a couple of them back in St. Louis, Missouri, and then I also worked at a restaurant in Louisiana. And then since I've been in Atlanta, my most recent experience at a restaurant was probably about maybe like 4 or 5 years ago. And for anyone who's ever worked in the industry or the service industry, you know that there's so much that goes on at restaurants. So if you'd like to hear more about my craziest experiences, stay tuned. Craziest experience I want to share with you all is about me being poisoned by a chef while I was working at a restaurant. And I know you're probably like, wait a minute, Nia, I don't believe you. Like, you weren't poisoned by anybody. Just listen to the story. Well, I ate at the restaurant all the time because if you know people that work in the service industry, a lot of times they eat at the place where they work. So I would frequently eat. During this time, there was like a situation where I was talking to my girlfriend on the phone, and I was telling her, you know, man, like I keep on feeling like not good when I get home at night. And I'm like having stomach issues, you know, like I don't want to go into too many details, but y'all know what I mean. So I just wasn't feeling good. And she and I were talking to each other, and she's like, I haven't been feeling good either. And I'm like, wait a minute. So we're both having issues, and we're like, that's kind of weird. Like, do you think, you know, it's something to do in the kitchen? Like, you know, maybe some different ingredients that they're using, because we never had this problem before. What we started to notice was that this particular problem only happened on certain days. Y'all know where I'm going. It only happened on certain days when a certain person was at work. And there was a particular guy who was in the kitchen working. There were only 2 people who could make your food during that hour time frame. So for some reason, whatever I seemed to order, this particular individual was always the person making the food. And same thing with my girlfriend who was working with me. And I didn't really have the best rapport with this person, which kind of goes into that whole thing of you never want to eat food from a person that you're not super cool with. I don't know, like the guy just didn't like me that much, and he didn't really care for her either. Like, he's the one who's actually doing this, because we were never sick when anyone else was cooking the food. I would always like see him kind of like snickering when he would see us, like just staring and watching us. Like, it was just awkward. He hated me almost. So I truly believe that during this period of time, that person was putting something in our food. And I would delegate to who I would say, hey, Troy, I want you to make my food today. Like, or whoever it was, because I can't remember the people's names. But I would say, I want you to make my meal today. And that would be the person to make my food. And then it was just superior. Like, and I never got sick, never had any kind of issues. So to sum it all up, yes, I believed I was poisoned by a chef that didn't like me in the restaurant. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and hit that button. That way you'll be notified anytime I post a new video. And also, if you want to connect with me, my Instagram is NiaOlivia and my Snapchat is NiaOlivia21. So, my next craziest experience. One night I was working at the restaurant, and I was probably closing that night because I remember there weren't like a lot of people, but I remember I had like several tables. I'm always like trying to be really personable because that's important. Like, you want your guests to really like you when you work at a restaurant. And so I remember kind of like noticing this guy smiling at me and stuff and being like really, really nice. And that's always awesome when you're a server, when you have a table and you're like, dang, these people are super nice. So I'm walking around, and one time I come back to maybe like do a drink refill, and the guy says to me, are you on Tinder? And I'm like, huh? Tinder who? Yes. Now, this was quite a bit of time ago, and I was on Tinder, and I did have a profile, and I would check it sometimes. We were in close proximity with each other. Then my Tinder profile was coming up to anyone that was on Tinder that was around. So this particular guest was like, oh, I see you on Tinder. He was like, so you're not going to like me? And I'm like, huh? It was so awkward. I never want to run into someone from Tinder in person unless I set that up to actually meet that person. And so I kind of had to play it off with him because clearly it was a no, okay? He was still like really nice, but it was creepy because it's like, here it is, someone from Tinder who now knows where I work. I'm easily accessible to them. They can find me. And it just made me like kind of nervous. I think, I'm not even gonna get onto the whole online dating thing, but that definitely made me a tad bit nervous. And from then on, I would never log on to Tinder when I was at my job. Another crazy experience that I had while working at a restaurant had to do with when we were doing a wine tasting. So obviously as a bartender or a waitress, you need to know what are the drinks that your particular job offers. So we would always have like wine tastings, and sometimes it would be before our shifts. Well, for me, I would be super excited about that because of course you're not going to get too intoxicated off this, but you're getting like a little sip of something, which would just be kind of nice, and you get to try different wines. So one day we were doing a wine tasting and everyone was there, and we all had cups and stuff like that, and I actually had a couple of different ones, but I had like a cup, and my cup was, I had a cup of wine. So I turned to kind of like look away. I'm like laughing with someone, and I look back and my cup was gone, y'all. Like there was like the cup was gone, okay? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is the one time when at work I get to have a cocktail, and now my cocktail's gone, and they don't give you any more. Or when a wine tasting is over, it's over. So I was like totally upset. So as I started my shift and I'm working, I noticed that one of my coworkers is intoxicated. And let me just say, I love her. And if she sees this video, I love you, girl, but I just had to use this as one of my experiences. So old girl had definitely had a lot to drink. And so I look, and next thing I know, she's sitting at the table with some of her guests. Like she's literally like moved herself into the table. But she's all like this, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is Sally okay? And then the next thing I see, she's trying to take some drinks to the table and literally is about to spill the entire tray onto the people at this table. It was so bad that a guest told me that he was concerned that she possibly needed to go to the hospital at this point in time. And I was thinking, the wine tasting was only 10 minutes long. How could she possibly have gotten that intoxicated during a 10-minute time frame? She was drunk working at the restaurant. All right, y'all. I would love to hear from you. So my question of the day, which I want you to answer in the comment section, is what's the craziest experience you've ever had while at a restaurant? And you could be the customer at the restaurant or someone that's previously worked at a restaurant. So please go ahead and comment below. I would love to hear about your crazy experiences. The next experience I'm going to talk about, y'all, is cheap customers who put you in the weeds. So for anyone who hasn't worked at a restaurant before, the weeds are when you're running behind, when you're trying to get like 10 different things and you can't catch up. It's like you're trying to get through, but you just can't maneuver. So I would basically have customers all the time who come in and they want to ask you 85 different things, or they need so much. If you want ranch, blue cheese, teriyaki, aioli sauce, tell me when you order your meal, okay? Why would you tell me after your food already comes out? Then you say, oh, I need the aioli and I need the teriyaki. And I'm like, okay, cool. I go grab that for you. Then I come back and you're like, oh, I need blue cheese and ranch. Sis, bro, like Figure out exactly what you need before, ahead of time, so you can tell me all in one, so I can bring you all your stuff so everything can be fresh and all together. Don't keep asking me to get different things from you. Oh, I need this. Oh, I need that. Oh, I such and such. I truly believe that there are a lot of people that go out to restaurants who aren't used to anything. Yes, I said it. They're not used to anything, and so they go out to restaurants and they want to run people around like they're a slave or something like that. And it's unacceptable. And then you want to turn around and barely tip. Like, excuse me? So I basically did all of this running around for nothing. Nothing at all. And then you keep on asking for stuff when you leave. Okay, I don't want to hear it. The last experience I'm going to discuss in this video is about clients or customers holding you accountable for what they order. So I have had several experiences where this has happened with food and drinks. So a lot of restaurants don't actually take drinks back because, you know, the cost of it. So basically I went to a table, there was a girl there, and she wanted to get a particular drink. Well, she told me what drink she wanted to order, and I said, you know what, just to be honest, like, I've been working at this restaurant since it opened, and women typically don't care for this drink. This is what I'm saying to her. Now, to you guys, what I'm saying is I wasn't trying to be sexist in any type of way, but over the course of the time that I've been working at the restaurant, this particular drink was not popular with women. So she was like, well, I really like drinking brown liquor because I think it had like some type of whiskey in it, but it was a mixed drink. And she was like, I'm gonna like it. Like, I definitely want it. And I was like, I'm really telling you, I was like, I really haven't ever given this drink to a woman or brought this out to a woman where they were like, I like this drink. She's like, no, I definitely want it. And I said, that's perfectly fine. But I'm going to let you know right now, we don't take any drinks back, okay? So if you order this and you don't like it, it's yours. And she was like, okay, you know, whatever. So I bring the drink out to her, and then, you know, I go away or whatever. And probably like maybe 6, 7, 8 minutes later, 10 minutes later, I don't know how long it was, but I came back to the table and she was looking really upset. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, what's wrong? And she's like, I don't like this. And her friend, no, you know what? It wasn't even her. It wasn't even her. Somebody else at the table was like, oh, she hates the drink. And I said, she hates the drink. Now I'm smiling right now, but I was really like smiling at the time inside. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that you don't like the drink. And then I turned and walked away and went on to the next table that I had to go to. Because at the end of the day, I already told you that we don't take drinks back. And I'm not going to cater to people that don't listen. So if it was a thing where she was being like extra nice, but she kind of had like a, I'll just take it, I want it kind of attitude. Well, honey, you got exactly what you wanted. Y'all, thank you so much for tuning in to this story time. I hope that you were able to relate to this, maybe get a little laugh out of this. Remember, I upload videos every week or so. I'm trying to get better about it, guys. Like, seriously, this is something that I'm working on. But definitely check out my Instagram at NiaOlivia Now. My Snapchat is NiaOlivia21. I would love to connect with you all. Thank you so much for tuning into this video and have a wonderful day.